All right, looks like we are live. Welcome everybody to Sweetcast. We've got Art T Bear again, spelled phonetically, here again on the show. How's it going, Art?
Good. And I just think this helps, the T dash
Yeah,
bear.
I have to say it was a little confusing to me at first because I would hear like reading your name, and I've read your name several times, like before I ever even heard you speak or anything, and I was pronouncing it in my head totally differently. And then to hear like you get going on Ethan's stream or just different streams and talking, and then everyone would call you Art T Bear, and I'm like, how is that? I don't get it.
French is a weird language. But just a quick story. All growing up, I was Thibert or Thebert or, something like that. And then I'm in high school and I'm in German class and the teacher's like, T-Bear. And Art T-Bear, how they do the roll call. And I'm like, who the hell's that? And then she said, it's you. You're Art T-Bear. And I'm like, what? She goes, your last name is French. So I go home and my parents are very, very humble. And I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, is our last name T-Bear? And he said, yeah, cracked open a beer and walked away. So up to that point, he let everybody call us Thebert or Thibert or whatever. He never corrected anybody. And he never
Wow.
told us that our name was T-Bear.
Oh, that's funny. It's like he was just like, yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
all my life I was like, well, yeah, I'm Thebert or Thibert.
Man, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I imagine though, because your name is on books more often and things, maybe I don't know, maybe that doesn't make a difference. People probably still get your name wrong all the time.
Well, I went to Canada, French, Quebec, and these different places, and they speak French, and it was nice being there because they didn't have a problem with the name at all. They just went right into it's like, T-Bear.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have that problem, but it's more like I just hear the same joke. My name's Stoker. It's my last name. And so, yeah, it's usually like stalker, ha ha ha, or smoke, or I hear all those kinds of things. But I got to a certain age where I'm like, man, Stoker's actually a really cool last name. I like it. I own it totally. So,
oh, it's pretty badass. Like especially with Clint Stoker.
Yeah,
that's an action hero right there, man.
I know. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, it's funny because at first I don't know how much you followed my progression. Probably not at all. But I started anonymous, just under Sweetcast as the name. And then I got to this point where I was like, yeah, if I'm going to be publishing a book, I want to have it under my name, especially because I've already written some novels, you know what I mean? So I'd rather have it connected to the writing I've already done. So I just, put my name out there. I self-doxed basically. And people were like, oh, that's a pen name? Like, no, that's my actual name. But so yeah, it worked out pretty well.
It's so perfect. They have to doubt it, right? They're like, nah. It's like if you're a rock and roller and your last name is Rock. Right. People don't believe it. Like there's this one of my favorite drummer is his last name is Rockenfield, and I'm like, oh come on, that's a stage name.
Yeah. Well, even you going by your first name's Art. I'm assuming that's short for Arthur.
Yes.
Maybe? Yeah. But still Art. Did you go by that all growing up?
Yeah, I think the only one who called me Arthur was my mom. So everybody else was Art. I always like just like being one of the guys, like Joe instead of Joseph, or Rich instead of Richard, those type of things.
Absolutely.
The best name I thought as a kid was I had a friend named Guy. It was just Guy,
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool, man.
Yeah. It's no mistaking that guy is Guy. Yeah. I work with a guy.
Yeah, it's like calling yourself dude.
Yeah. That'll come up, I'm sure. Names are starting to get weird, it seems like.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I had a few things for us to talk about. We talked about it a little bit, but I mean, a big thing too is even last time you were on the stream, you just had that great story about Lou Ferrigno, and I don't know, just kind of got me thinking, like if you have stories, there might be some nice prompts here, but yeah, I think you just take it away because you have great stories. So
Well, I told a nice story a few days ago about being fired from Marvel. So there's that one.
That was fascinating. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was interesting. It's always interesting to me because there are absolutely politics that happen in every office. You know what I mean? In every workplace. But it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like in comics, the unique thing is that it's because it's entertainment and there are so many people that really want work that it's almost like lorded over you. You know what I mean? Or there's just a lot of power. The people that hold the power and who gets jobs, they have more power than your average boss or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Usually the way it works is they won't give you accolades. They don't give you too many attaboys. They really try to keep you in your place. So the one thing, about the mainstream versus what we do, Clint, is we get feedback, right, wrong, or indifferent, man. We're right here talking to people and hanging out. So if you're resonating, if you're connecting with your crowd. At Marvel DC, you're fairly insulated. So all you have to go on is what the corporation, how they view you. You know what I mean? And most companies don't really want to build you up. It used to be a lot different before Image, where you could work for, and they'd go, yeah, man, that's really cool. And let's keep going. There would be this energy back and forth and encouragement. But then after the 90s and we all became superstars, Marvel and DC decided not to be, you know what I mean? They decided not to build us up quite as much. And if anything, they tried to knock us down so we wouldn't get, a big head and go to Image Comics or something.
Yeah.
Or Comicsgate. Or
right. Comicsgate. That is funny. I want to ask about that too. But let's just invite or not invite, but say hello to Adam Post. Thanks, Adam.
Gentlemen. Good to see you.
The man of the hour, Adam Post. How are you?
Great to see you, gentlemen. Art, very exciting. Clint, I like all your comments about Art's article. Very interesting stuff. I want you guys to keep rolling, though. I'm going to listen, and I'll jump in and mess with you when I find the right opportunity.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, there's a big thing with indie comics and traditional comics, and I'll be honest, I haven't been in I've got one book out in indie comics,
and it's a killer book.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I tried to do my absolute best. I've done some writing before, but this is like the first time having the whole thing together. So yeah, I am really proud of it. But I'm like, I gotta improve. You know what I mean? I gotta be up to the level, because there are in indie comics here, there are a lot of pros doing a lot of great stuff. You know what I mean? And so it makes me want to be at the level.
Well, Clint, the first thing is you put a book out, and I tell you this, I tell the other guys this. Art, thank God you're on this panel, because you're like me. You've been around a couple of decades. Can you believe the first efforts that are coming out of Comicsgate, the first self-published efforts? I'm not sure. I assume you got Clint's book, or at least you've seen Clint's book. That's a first indie book. Cyberfrog is a first self-published book. Your boy Zach's Jawbreakers is a first self-published book. That's unheard of.
Yeah. This is crazy. This is why I'm here, Adam. This is why I'm hanging out with you guys and putting out these books, because this, to me, is the ideal place to be if you have a voice, an indie voice, and you want to do personal comics. You want to do your indie comics. This is the place to be right now.
Are also having some experience in the game. Like when Clint's saying, like, I feel it where Clint feels this, I feel the same thing, where I'm like, all right, well, I've seen Cyberfrog. I even had Kyle Ritter do some work. I reached out to Ethan about maybe doing a cover for me if he has time. We've talked a little bit about it. You want to be like the best with the best immediately. It can take a little time, though, to get into your groove, production wise, and produce high quality, like the best quality stuff as everyone else. But at least when you put something out, that's the floor, right? You don't put out more stuff that doesn't hit the same level. You do not disappoint. That's the number one objective, is like, you don't disappoint. And the goal would be, that's like the do not do thing. And then the goal would be do better next time. Do better. Yeah. Make it like more impactful. You know,
Oh
do
yeah,
something.
like I always said about my career, you're only as good as your last panel, you're only as good as your last page, your last comic. So, you know, these things are somewhat disposable. So in 6 months from now, is anybody going to remember any of the books that we just put out? You know, so we're going to have to put out another book. We're going to have to top that book. We're going to have to try to create something bigger, find a bigger audience, you know, all those things. So it always keeps you hungry and honest.
Yeah.
But our goal should always be to do better, keep our promise to our fans and our customers, but also to our creators, right? And and our several other publishers that help us get where we are, and our industry friends. Just make each other proud of what we're doing. But we want to make the best books we can make. We just have to know that, like, Ethan spends a year drawing a comic. It's going to be difficult to put out a book that looks as good or better than Cyberfrog. If not impossible. But we can do books that are better than our books, as good as they are today. The next ones tomorrow can be 50% better, even if
yeah, compete against yourself. It's always better to compete against yourself than the outside, anyways, because you're really just going to set yourself up for anger and jealousy and a lot of the more petty things. And sometimes people act on those. I've seen that happen in the industry. So it's best just to try to beat your own best, your own personal best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then there are some people too, like Donald DeLay. He's really, really good, and he's stylistic. So you can't put like Donald necessarily next to Art, next to Andrew Huerta, and pick one and say, well, which one's the best? Obviously Art, but you know what I'm saying? If Art wasn't here, you'd be like, well,
right.
But their styles are different, but a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of great work.
Well, that's why these are pointless. Like when you're a kid, you go, what is the best? I'm going to be the best. It's like, well, what is the best? I mean, what is that really? It's always such a sliding scale, and it all also depends on the point of view and who you're talking to. So, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of, because Wizard used to have the top 10, and they would do all these like competitive things like, oh, I'm in the Wizard top 10, so I'm somebody. And then you just realize, well, not really, because next month somebody else is going to be there,
Yeah. Well, and to me, it's more of, I was saying this the other day, but like looking at what other people are doing and you get inspired, like, man, they've, and that is what I love, is that you kind of feed off of each other. Like, they're doing something cool, and it doesn't, they're great. They're doing something amazing. I want to up my game just to do, catch a little bit of that,
I want to do a video just about, I haven't unboxed my Downcast book yet. I want to show people that it was shipped media mail and explain to people passionately what media mail is.
Yeah.
And how in perfect condition it's in, and then kind of just look at the product inside. And I know it's in perfect condition. But yeah, I'm like, I get inspired by other people's success.
Yeah. Even little things like, just the presentation, how the book gets to you. How I don't know, it's funny because it's not just making comics. It's like when you're in the indie game, it's like you're doing everything, and so it's even the mailers, I wouldn't have thought like, oh, Gemini mailers, but part of it is the reputation. And then I know a lot of people are like, oh, Gemini mailers, that makes me happy.
Yeah, and they know, all right, it's safe.
Yeah, that was part of it, is like, okay, I got to do Gemini mailers then, or at least that's one little edge, not that, I'm sure there are other great mailers out there, but
you have just denigrated all other mailers, Clint.
I know. I'm sure.
No, just kidding. Yeah. But no, look, that's the other thing too, is, what works, and then you move on. Because if Gemini mailers works and it's within your budget, do Gemini mailers. And it's a brand that even customers know and trust.
Exactly. If they trust it, then they know it's going to get there safe, and they're going to be okay with it. And that's part of it. Because they're putting a lot of trust in you. They don't really know what they're going to get and what shape it's going to be in. So if at any way we can help with our backers and things like that and give them confidence, then if Gemini mailers does that, then so be it.
Yeah. I have to just show this because I just thought it was great.
It's stunning.
This is Charlie Snogans. He posted, he's really not on Twitter hardly at all, but every once in a while he'll pop up and he'll just post some art that he's done. And he posted this one today, and I was just like, man, every time.
Is that for a comic, or is it just
This he told me he did this a while ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but it's been done and he had it on Facebook or something before, and so he just like put it up here. But yeah, so I don't know if this was ever for a book or anything or just a cool picture he wanted to do. But yeah, it's amazing. I was really happy with it, so I just wanted to show it off.
He's phenomenal.
The reason why, Charlie and I are going to be doing a book together, but it's going to be, not yet. I gotta get Downcast 2 done and shipped out to people. But the next project will be with Charlie Snoken, so we've already been working on it. But I just wanted to show this off because it's cool.
Wow, I can't wait. So this is going to be the artist on your next book?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Someone posted like, that's not intimidating at all. Like, it kind of is, yeah.
So he's going to do a whole graphic novel for you, hopefully?
The plan is to do a 48-page book.
Okay.
And he's one where, he's a very good artist and it takes some time, to do stuff like this. And so, and so that we just are kind of setting the expectations, correctly to start off with. But he's got some pages finished, and he's a busy guy, but we've been kind of working through it. And
cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to say a date when this is going to happen, but it should be 2020. So
nice. Well, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Does he have other books out? Does he have other comics?
No, I don't know how much I should say about his. I've got to have him on sometime. He can tell his story a bit, but he does art elsewhere. He works in like advertising and stuff, and so but he wants to work in comics. He's wanted to for a while. He's kind of I don't know. I've got to talk to him first. I don't want to share
talk
too
to him
much.
and see what he wants. And the thing of it is whatever his goals are, then you guys have your project together. But I got to imagine there are people that want to hire him. I understood he was doing some work for your boy Zach also.
Yeah, well, that is true. So he does have. I don't have it yet, so that's why I'm like, it doesn't exist yet because I don't have it. But everybody else is getting it. But yeah, the new Jawbreakers book, he's got I think it's like a 10-page story in there. The Zashi story, and I've seen bits and pieces of that. It looks great. I can't wait to get my book.
This is the kind of artist that you find a talent like this. You get a relationship and a good working relationship with someone like this, and he's got a very commercial style. But you just find the money and try to keep somebody like that working and facilitate if he's looking at a transition out of that other industry. But this is incredibly commercial style. I mean, this is fantastic work.
Yeah, and he's got a few different styles he can work in. I think this is a pretty good representation of what he likes to do, I would say. But yeah, I just thought, I'll show it.
Wonderful.
I saw it today. It looked cool. What else? We are going to talk about, well, maybe I'll get this out of the way because it's in the title. Why not? We'll skip over here.
What is the title?
I had to put something up. It's Alan Moore and Other Comics Talk. I know.
Hey, Adam, where are the other comics talk?
Where the other comics talk? All right, let's hit it. That's exciting.
Yeah. I know Peter Smetty in the chat was like, I don't see Alan Moore here. A clickbait, #clickbait or something like that.
Everyone loves Peter.
Well, there he is right there, that grumpy old man right there with the arrow on his face.
Somebody said in one of the chats, I think, Peter Smetty is the Mr. Rogers of the comic book industry.
Yeah.
Because he's so nice and so lovable and so great, and everything he does is with such care. And it's like, you know what? That's a big compliment.
Yeah. And when he does step out of line, we bring him in and roast him.
Oh, yeah, Smetty, you got to take him down sometimes.
It's just yeah, he's a really great guy.
Yeah.
Alan Moore and pals. Yeah. I can't imagine what I would say to talk Alan Moore into coming onto this stream. I don't think it would ever happen. So I'm not even going to try. But why would I? We've got lots of great.
You had Kevin Eastman, so he's bigger than Alan Moore.
I know how to get him on the show.
Yeah. You know how to
use magic because he believes in magic. So try to say, I got some kind of spell, and then try to convince him that it's working, and then he'll come over to your show.
Maybe there's a curse. The only way he can break it is by coming onto my show.
Right, exactly.
Well, what would you ask him anyway?
I would probably.
You'd ask him if he likes Peter Smetty, right? Because that's what I ask everybody.
I know the first question I would ask him.
What's that, Art?
What would you ask?
Why didn't you take any of that Watchmen money from the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did he refuse the money?
Yeah, he gave it to Dave Gibbons.
didn't want it to exist even, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've read I've read a few of his things. I feel like you kind of have to, you know. But just personally, you know how he wrote that screed pretty recently about Comicsgate, like in his last published comic.
I mean, how many seconds does it take for your eyes to gloss over when these people are just like, yeah, whatever, man. You know what I mean?
I just thought it was funny. Like, that's your last.
How dare he? How dare he?
You're retiring from comics. You know what I mean? And what do you want to say? What's the message? But yeah, there's recently. This was funny, and we could watch a little bit of it. But basically, he did a little political public service announcement, I would say, and I just thought it was funny.
Sure.
Should we watch it? It does get a little political. Oh, I've got to
absolutely
hold on.
Oh yeah, please
stop sharing. I always forget to share the
audio.
The audio. There we go.
Yeah, Wenger knows how to do it. I'm like always amazed when he does it.
Share audio. There we go. All right, let's give this a try. This is Alan Moore.
I am an anarchist, but the reason that I will be voting Labour in this election is that I am convinced.
Hey, Clint, turn it up. I can barely hear it.
Of these monstrous.
Should I start that over?
Yeah.
He mumbles a lot, so it's hard to tell what he's saying anyways.
Yeah, and this is the voice I imagine. This is what Swamp Thing sounds like. All right, here we go.
I am an anarchist, but the reason that I will be voting Labour in this election is that I am convinced that if we have another 4 years of these monstrous, rapacious Tories, we may not ever have another meaningful vote upon anything. I think the stakes are that high. Go out and do your best.
So those Labour guys managed to absolutely weirdly block Brexit, even though people actually voted for it in the country with their freaking shenanigans in the parliament.
Yeah, I kind of stopped following. I used to be so up to date on all things politics, even in the UK. But then, I don't know. Until last year, I've just been comics.
Well, just for busy and stuff. But I catch bits and pieces. But like, if you're an anarchist, as he claims, let's pretend he is. He wants anarchy, but he wants his vote to really count in his. It's like, what are you talking about? Anarchy is like, isn't that like wild stuff?
No vote. Well, so in an anarchist paradigm, and I will say there are two kinds of anarchy. There might be more, but I think there's two big kinds. So I know you got it's basically on the right and on the left. And the ones on the right, I would say, I would bet money that there's at least one watching right now. But they're very like, free market, free capitalism, no government, and then no
government.
Right. And then on the left, you've got no government, and you share all of, and this is, I'm paraphrasing, but you share everything. The bus system. And I had somebody explain this to me once, a professor that was like, no, it would totally work because there's a bus. And if you need to use that bus, it's parked on the road, you just use it. And then when you're done, you just leave it there and someone else can use it. That's preposterous.
Yeah. Like, who bought the bus in the first place? Who maintains the bus? If no one owns it, who cares about it and treats it well?
Yeah. And also, this isn't really anarchy, not the true definition of it, right? This is just some kind of political, rebranding of
fantasy
of anarchy.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole problem that anybody has with political systems is there are corrupt people that wind up controlling it at the top and manipulating all the power. So the more power you give those people at the top, the more they can manipulate it against the people. Yeah. So if you have a structure like what the U.S. is supposed to be, then you have a limited federal government with independent states, and there's all these checks and balances, and you have like very little problems and lots of prosperity. But when you have people, a growing federal government that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it starts to have way too much power, and then way too many few groups of people are like, hey, if the three of us get together, like me, Art, and Clint, we can, put our hands on $50 billion, and there's nothing anybody else small can do about it because we control, all aspects of life. So the problem is too much control, too much centralized control, which is why communism does not work, even though our friend Commie Mark loves communism.
There you go. Yeah,
exactly.
I like what's on the screen now. Look at that.
Yeah,
Chrono, baby. Go Chrono.
Chrono Mechanics. Yeah, I want to. We've got some other things to talk about too. There's your Alan Moore fix. Everybody that wanted to know. That's what we were going to talk about.
So
I
have a joke. So Alan Moore is going to live the V for Vendetta lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
He's going to put the mask on. He's going to go out and he's going to bomb us away.
It's all going to work out just fine.
He's going to spray paint V on the wall.
Yeah.
It's for Alan.
It's funny. Like I think as someone that writes dystopian novels, you can learn a lot about a person by what a dystopia they create, and V for Vendetta it's like a fascist dystopia society. And the only way to solve it, is V anarchy, so it's interesting.
The best part about V for Vendetta is that there's the one point where the V character says, I can tear it down, but I don't have the hope to build it back up. You know what I mean? And I thought that was that's the pivotal part. Like, you can tear down a government, but what do you replace it with? You know what I mean? Like, it's something better or something similar or, or something worse, unless you have something in place to replace after the anarchy, then, you could be worse off than you were before.
Yeah. We got a question. This is an important one.
Good.
Are the Chrono Mechanics communists?
They are each communistic in their own ways. Yes. They believe all for one for all. So they share everything. They share their lady friends. They share their income. They share their food. They share their homes. Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing like that at all.
I was like, this book is a totally different turn, man.
It's like, what?
Wow.
No, I think they would take that sledgehammer and they'd smash, a communist right upside the cranium.
Free market, baby. Free market.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Well, while we're on the subject, why don't you tell us a little bit about Chrono Mechanics? And I'll tell you, everybody, if you have not backed Chrono Mechanics, you're running out of time. It's ending very soon. So it's a good time to get in.
Listen to what Art has to say about it. But
Yeah.
while he's talking, and Clint will show more of the campaign, I'm sure, look at how gorgeous the art is and how stunning the color is. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chrono Mechanics, they do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. We are 2 days left, so probably this time tomorrow we'll be closing it down. And it's a self-contained 48-page book, comic book, and it's PG-13. We say PG-13 just to give people a heads up, because I've been asked this question a lot if it's a kid's book, and it's not really a kid's book. Kids can read it, but I caution with the PG-13 where there are some adult themes and there is some raunchy humor. So the one character here with the guitar, Doug, he is a 70s rock star. And with all the vices and, and all the debauchery of a 70s rock star. So sex, drugs, rock and roll, it's all in this story. So there's drug abuse and alcoholism and some womanizing, so, but I do believe most of that would go over, kids' heads. I think they would still think it's funny. So kind of like Looney Tunes, where it works on two levels, where, the Tex Avery, early Looney Tunes stuff, where there was sexual innuendo and things happening, and the adults were like, whoa, I know what that is. And kids are like, oh, it's just a gun going limp with a little drop of a bullet coming out. They never got that it was, an innuendo of a man's penis going limp.
Hey, wait a minute. This is just 13 plus, bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So it's not for 8-year-olds, really.
Yeah. And I mean, every parent is different and every kid's different. So you have to just kind of gauge that. But I just like to put it out there for people so they know. And so it's basically, it's time traveling repairmen. So they're knuckle busting, time repairmen that fix the big machine known as time. And when I say big machine, it's literally a big machine. Nuts, bolts, cosmic clockwork that was built in the very fabric of the galaxy universe when it was formed. So it's as big as the cosmos, and it breaks down a lot because it's old. So there's a company called Chrono Incorporated that was built to maintain and repair the machine. So they hire time mechanics, teams of mechanics, chrono mechanics that go out and repair the big machine. So this 48 pages focuses on Team 9.2 of Sector 7, which are Zinn, Oot, Caravaggio, and possibly this new recruit, Doug, or his rock name is D. So they just call him the D. And so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So we have a lot of cool tiers here. We have a book with the sketchbook, and the sketchbook's going to be fun because I've been working on and off on these characters in this world for about 15 years, since early 2000s. So there's a lot of sketchbook material there. I have a Warner Brothers pitch, an animation pitch that I'm going to feature in the work in progress. And there's just a bunch of other stuff in there. So that's the featured item. And then each one of these tiers that come with the book have an accompanying trading card. So like the main book will have a trading card of the team, with it.
Cool.
Very cool. I posted the link in the chat. So yeah, I'll do that again here as well.
And what's the cost of the featured item?
I think it's 50. Let me go.
Let's just look real quick.
Yeah.
Signed
$50
plus. Yeah.
Very cool. So $50, guys. If you want to get in, that's a great place to get in. And do you have a tier where people can buy everything? And they're like, if they're just like, man, I love art, I love chrono mechanics, what's the biggest check I can write?
Well, we sure do. We have the ultimate tier, which is everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much is that?
So 150.
That's
150. Okay, cool. Very cool.
We have variant covers by Carlo Barbieri. He was my Super Sons fellow artist, and he's a big-time Marvel DC guy. And then there's Tom Bancroft, who's a Disney animator. He was responsible for the Mushu character in Mulan.
Wow.
And Sean Cheeks Galloway, who, if anybody saw the Hellboy animated features, he did all the design work for that. He did the design work for Amazing Spider-Man, the cartoon. And then we have Aaron Lopresti, who is just a legend in the comics industry. So he did a character called Zinn for me. So we had the variant covers, and those are also featured in the ultimate tier as well.
Cool. So a good way in would be get the $50 featured tier. That's a good way to get in. If you've got the money to spend, go for the ultimate at $150. Or if not, there's probably a cheaper way and you could just get the comic. But really, and that's what people did on my campaign. A lot of people just went for the featured and they were happy. The people that loved me went for the ultimate and they spent the money on that. Just depends on what your budget is. Obviously, it's Christmas time, but definitely back Art. He is a legend. He's done amazing work. And we need more work from Art in Comicsgate. We need Art in Comicsgate.
Well,
so we got to support his book.
Yeah, because I have plans. This is where my home is. I want to stay here and keep making books for you guys. So that's the goal.
And guys like me and Clint have to put our heads together and figure out, can we have Art do covers for us or anything else like that? And just kind of figure it out. Time available, budget available, and things like that. But yeah, we're all going to pull together and do great things.
I got to ask, Art, how many styles can you do? Or can you define it that way? Or is it kind of hard to say? I've just seen so many different kinds of styles from you that it's kind of amazing.
Well, early on, I remember having a conversation with Jim Lee, and we saw an artist, and he was kind of on, I guess, the backside of his career at San Diego. And we looked at him, and then, we went out, and drank, and just kind of it actually had impact on us. And we're like, I don't want to be like that guy. You know what I mean? Like, this industry will eat you up and it'll just use you up and then just dispose of you. And that's what they had done to this guy. And so we were like, well, how could we do that? And one was, you could create a studio and the other one is you could create IPs for yourself. And so I always took that to heart, and apparently he did too. So, Image Comics was formed, and we all started doing books for ourselves. And I have a studio called Hack Shack Studios. So, the idea was never to be that guy. So to stay relevant, you always should try to switch it up, to try to try new things, take new influences, bring them into your work. And I'm a big rock guy, so I always liked David Bowie, and he would reinvent himself every couple years, with different personas. And so I kind of think about that as I take that into what I do, and I think I got to keep changing. I got to keep trying different things so I don't stagnate. Just one, so I can entertain myself, and two, so people always, are on their toes. Like, wait a minute, that's RT Bear. Like, where'd that come from?
It's impressive, man. I see, like, you were doing Inktober, I believe, and just posting inked pieces, and every time I'd see one, I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Like, just so many different directions. I don't know. It was really cool to see.
I have a bunch of other influences and ideas. So if I can kind of find the support here, the sky is the limits, because I don't want to give this stuff to Marvel, and I don't want to give it to DC. Like, I want to give it to you guys, the people in the chat, the people that support these books. So I have a lot of other ideas and styles that I would like to drop on everybody at some point.
Oh, cool. Well, I know you've got a Nightwing story. We talked about this a little bit before, but I just saw Chuck Dixon posted this today. I don't know what time, 4 p.m. He said, "Yep, I wrote a Nightwing story this week." And that says a lot in that one little line. But it's like, oh, is he working for DC again, or is he? I don't know. It's just it's interesting. So he wrote a Nightwing story. But Art, you said that you've written a Nightwing story as well.
Would you want to speculate on Chuck Dixon first? Because
sure,
it's pretty intriguing. Like, did he have a falling out with DC?
I don't know much about it. I have had Chuck Dixon on the show before, but we didn't get into those specifics. But he did tell me that there were not really characters that he was like dying to write for Marvel or DC. He was pretty happy about the idea of just doing his own stuff or changing things up. And he did say the only character he still had ideas for, of one that he's already written anyway, was the Punisher, because he said there's just endless ideas for the Punisher for him. So Nightwing was just interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's written some of the better Batman stories.
Absolutely.
I believe he did a Robin run too. Years ago, the redesign where he had kind of the ninja shoes. I think it was the Neil Adams redesign where he had, instead of the short green pants, he had like long pants on, and they got rid of the elf shoes. And I think it was the first time they really redesigned Robin. I think he wrote that, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a great run. When Robin had the staff, he fought with the staff and everything. Yeah. So, I'll be the first one to read Chuck Dixon.
I know. Yeah, I want to read it, but it also, I don't know. So many people said like, oh, Chuck Dixon's not gonna, for probably a lot of different reasons, but I don't know. I just wonder behind the scenes, what does this mean? To me, he's a professional guy. He keeps his head down and he's just writing. Like, he's a really hard worker, and so why not? It would make sense. But
who's an interesting person to interview? Mike Baron. I don't know if you ever spoke to him or not, Clint.
I have not.
So I did an interview with Mike Baron, and it was when he was working on his project that didn't wind up coming out with whoever those guys were. But in any case, it's interesting to talk to someone who's written for many years, like Mike has, and I'm sure Chuck as well, because I was just curious, because I had, like, when I was a kid, I was reading his Punisher. I think it was a limited series he wrote, or whatever it was, and it was just like, it was really good. I was like really interested in his work, so I was like, well, give me some tips on writing. And I was like, what should you know about writing? And he's like, all right, well, let me explain a scene to you. And just like off the top of his head, he starts rattling off a scene, and you could just see him like just off the top of his head, he's just so freaking good. Like when you watch somebody incredibly good at art, I'm sure art blows people away all the time, where you just sit in front of a board and all of a sudden, like a blank piece of paper becomes some incredible finished thing. But yeah, he's an amazing writer. But from what I understand, Chuck is fast. Chuck Dixon, like he knows what he wants to do, how to do it.
Yeah, and work in this industry, you have to. So he's probably used to banging out an entire story in a week's time, complete, with dialogue and plot breakdowns and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you from personal experience, I got work on that Thrilling Comics book, and there were 3 stories in it, and Chuck Dixon did one of them, and we started the same time. And yeah, I think he really gives himself the deadline to get it done in a week. But yeah, he just crushed it. I think he got it done less than a week, and it took me longer. It took me like 2 weeks. But I don't know. It's like I want it to be right, and I don't have as nearly, the
when you have that experience, you have expertise. It's almost like making videos on YouTube as well. Like when I was first doing it, and I made 3 today because I've been behind, and I'm going to start publishing them tomorrow. But you know what you can and can't do, and you know it's good, and you don't second guess what you're doing because you're like, all right, I'm familiar with doing this.
Yeah,
exactly, Adam. The main thing is just second guessing yourself. And the best thing about working with a deadline, an intense deadline, is that's the first thing to go, is the indecision, because you don't have time for it.
Yeah.
You quite simply don't have time.
Well, you also, what's amazing is by having a deadline for anything, somehow, like, first of all, procrastination gets cut down. But if you have a problem that you can't figure out, you can kind of throw it in the back of your unconscious mind. And then your unconscious mind will work on it while you're consciously working on other stuff. And just like you can kind of simultaneously work and then just get more stuff done simultaneously as problems get solved and deadlines are met. And it's really pretty amazing. It's just an interesting comment.
Yeah. All about books. He says, did you see Jim Starlin on CNN whining about the Trump Thanos memes? I did not see Jim Starlin. I saw John, what's his name? Don Lemon, worst journalist of the year.
Worst journalist of the year. Oh, John Ward, huh?
Yeah, I watched it on John Ward. John Ward's YouTube channel. He just cracks me up, man. He's funny.
Yeah, you guys want to sub to John Ward? He's really funny. He's pro-Trump, and actually Trump and the Donald saved his life. He talks about that. He just found inspiration again. Yeah, he was in a bad place, and then he's a funny, creative person, and he found inspiration. But he's got a great YouTube channel.
He's got such a unique sense of humor. It's like he's so deadpan, essentially, and he talks really, really fast. But you listen to these big rants, and they're just hilarious. They're packed with so many little jokes. I know he writes them. It probably takes him a while to write all those scripts ahead of time.
It seems like it's off of his head, though. It does.
It seems like it. I don't know how you'd be on it that well, though.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
So a rap musician.
Yeah, that's true. It's pretty good. Looks like we have a super chat in here for $5. Nice. Thank you very much. This is all about books. I'm not seeing it pop in here yet, but books for $5 says, Clint, please get Rob Willis on your show. This guy is the best CG artist, and he will be huge. I agree. I've had his writer on the show. I don't know why I'm Cal. I've had Cal on the show before, but yeah, I need to get Rob on as well. I know he's a fan.
Wait, I have dibs on Rob before you, Clint.
You know what? I asked Rob once. Yeah. He said yes, and I just got hectic and didn't follow up. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah, I've never. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I said he's very low key.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've only.
Hey Art. Hey Adam.
Hey Eric.
Eric, hello.
Weather forecast is good.
The forecast is sunshine and bright skies.
Loving it.
And cardboard boxes.
Lots of work before Christmas.
Yeah.
And cardboard boxes, is that what you said?
Yeah. He's in fulfillment mode.
Yeah, I hear you, man. when I was eating dinner tonight with my wife, we were signing books, in
Yeah.
bites.
Well, I'm wrapping up. There are some volume 1 of Graveyard Shift. There was a misspelling that we got some flack for that we're fixing, and I'm looking back and I'm seeing all the tiny mistakes that I made because it was my first big book, and there are a few like little tiny things, but it's almost like every other page. So I'm going through and I'm fixing, and I got to do this, and then we're wrapping up the Allegiance books because those are going to print real soon, and my wife is in the other room and she's folding posters for the campaign right now. So all cylinders are firing in the Weathers fort.
Do you have an idea of when you'll have the books?
Let me double check. I got the final proof email, like the please approve this proof, and so we can start printing email. There was I don't know if I've said this publicly. I guess I did earlier today in a tweet, but there was a slight delay in the payment because my bank account only allows a certain amount every day that you can spend, and the print order was over that amount. So I sent an e-check through PayPal, and that takes like 6 days. So there was a delay in that payment processing. So originally they were supposed to arrive this coming Monday.
Well, wow.
So I'm going to assume they'll arrive mid or later in the week.
Nice.
So
that's it's a toss up. That's the nice thing about printing in the US is that shipping time is way faster.
mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, price is I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of factors, but that is nice. I think for me it's a big enough reason that I plan to always print here in the US. So.
I think I'm going to do the same. This last, we finally got our last shipment of Black and White book today.
Saw that, yeah.
Man, just insane how long it takes these things to get here, and all the language barriers and things like that. We're dealing with China, and we found a lot of local printers here that did our ash cans, our trading cards, and things like that. And they did a great job, and we got to kind of hang out, see the proofs, approve the proofs right then and there, and then get the print runs and then pick them up. So I'm definitely going to look for more local printers. I think
put the word out, Art, in our chat group. Because we must know people.
Yeah, actually, there's a printer in LA that Chung Lee is going to use, and we were going to take a trip down there, but it got canceled. So we're still planning a trip down to the printer and talk to them and see if they're able to accommodate what we need them to do. But they're well versed in comic books and things like that. So and one of the things Chung, I guess he's already doing it, is the newsprint type of Alterna. And I'm going to do the same with Black and White. So these guys do newsprint. So, and it's kind of weird because not everybody uses or works with newsprint anymore because they just don't stock it. They don't have it in stock. So sometimes it could be more expensive to print books on newsprint because these printers just don't stock that type of paper.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Peter or looked at the Alterna pricing? He has really reasonable pricing.
Yeah, it's weird because when you run these campaigns, there's priorities, and the priority now is mostly just try to get the book done and YouTube and try to get people on board. So as soon as I guess it's going to be Sunday, Monday, the campaign will be closed for Chrono Mechanics. So I'm going to start kind of, how you have your list, you have your A, B, priorities. And so, we're going to take a trip down there and check out pricing and all that other good stuff.
Well, nice. I just sent you a link to a printer that I know Vinny Tornamella has used twice now. He's really happy with, called Mixam.
Yep. That's what I'm using.
That's who you're using as well, Eric?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that they've been getting a lot of attention lately. It seems like a lot of people are talking about them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I just mentioned it to you, Art, so you have it.
I saw it. Thank you. And we also got a couple backers, so thank you guys.
Oh, fantastic.
All right.
Thank you, face to face. or screen to screen.
Mouth
I
to ear.
I gotta
what-
refresh it
here.
now. That's
Chrono
great.
Mechanics. That's where it's at.
Back up to 281 now. Awesome. 281
Feature-
backers.
Featured tier for $50. You get a signed comic book plus a sketchbook. It's a good deal.
Sweet,
Nice.
sweet cast.
Oh man.
You should just like do like a
The best-
sample of a bunch of kids going sweet cast, or
Yeah.
you're like
The best is like
sweet cast.
I've been getting so many people posting, like, oh hey, I got the book, Downcast is here. Everybody's posting about it. And I forgot who it was. I have to apologize. I forgot who it was, but they did a little video on Twitter of them opening it. And once they got it opened all the way, they're like, Downcast. Wait, this is Sweetcast. And also the music starts playing, and he's like, like trying to close the box. It was really, really funny.
Hysterical. That's great.
Yeah, it was great.
We have
So
the
good.
best group of people, right? That follow us and
Yeah.
watch our stuff. Yeah.
It is fun, man. I love that the theme song has become a meme, and people
it's a
making like hard rock versions and heavy metal. I saw a remix one most recently. It's like electronic remix that was pretty cool too. I gotta remember to put those in videos more often, just so they get shown off. But
Yeah, yeah.
Keep them alive.
still fun.
You
Yeah,
should try to attach them all, and so you can just continuously loop all different versions.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I could just do one. I could do one video that just
Loops all the songs.
jam stream.
Well, it'd actually be funny if you really want to see if you can brain damage people. Take the intro and strip it for like 3 hours of just your intro. And then since you get stats, you can see, does anybody actually, you'd be like, wait a minute, there are actually 4 people that watch this whole thing all the way
They're
through.
listening on
Yeah.
a loop. Yeah,
It's sort of like a psychological test.
yeah,
Or just
yeah.
play it continuously in the background while you're talking, just very, very low.
Well, at least as we're talking now, it'd be great to have like a soundboard button where you could just be like, all right, hold on a second, guys, and just
I
play.
know.
Well, my problem is if it's really interesting, I'll just stop talking and I'll listen to it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's good. I like that.
That's me in most live streams. As a commentator, I'm just listening to people think, huh, oh wait, I'm in the chat. Let me
Exactly. Yeah. The cool thing about this group too is there's a musician. His name's Christ Energetics. I know his real name, but I'm not going to say.
Ooh.
And he volunteered to do a black and white theme song for the video. So the video for Black and White is completely an original song, and it's amazing. I just said, let's try to do like a James Bond, with the surf guitar. And he's like, I know exactly what you want. And he just went, in a couple of days, I get the theme song. I'm like, oh my gosh, Black and White has its own theme song. It's like you, Clint, you have your own YouTube music, I mean, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I've seen a few of those for comics that they're just so fitting. It worked out great. I think in Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, that's one that I only had music, and it totally sounded like Saturday morning cartoon intro music. It was perfect. And there's been a few others. I think it was Cyborg USA. They had one as well.
Mhm.
Pretty funny.
Well, there's a YouTube musician, and his name is escaping me. I think it's like ZYT Music or something like that, and he did themes for Cyberfrog and Red Rooster, and I think Graveyard Shift, and a handful of others. I'll have to see if I can find it, and I'll drop the link in the chat. We can check it out.
Oh, cool.
Vaguely
That'd be cool.
familiar, Eric.
Yeah. Let me do some investigating real quick.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, today I've been working on some of the really boring business stuff with publishing, and I kind of got thinking about what is in store for 2020. What do I want to be ready for, and things like that. And yeah, so much of it is just like being legal and everything, like making sure that everything is on the books correctly and all that. And I thought, like, I want to do, like, right now I've got a business that's Clint Stoker Publishing LLC, and that's super boring. I've got a channel called Sweetcast, but I was like, I need a good name for an imprint, but it feels like it really needs to have something to do with Sweetcast, because
You mean like a publishing? name?
like my own imprint, the name of my imprint.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, like, Sweet
go ahead.
Comics, or like I was thinking like Sweet Cast Comics, but I don't know, like that's might be confusing.
Well, people would normally just you would just call a publishing imprint Sweetcast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because it doesn't have to just be comics, and it's not. You're doing graphic novels anyway, so it's not really
Right.
just comics.
Yeah. And
Yeah, definitely. I think go with your brand and keep that associated, because you've done so much work at this point, and that's how people know you. Sometimes it gets very confusing in the marketplace if you try to be too,
right.
see or different.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's like I have to connect. It's just funny like how it all now yeah. If I thought about I'm starting a comic imprint, it wouldn't be Sweetcast, but it worked. So,
It would be Sweetcast if you have a following like you do for Sweetcast, and it already worked for Downcast.
right.
Yeah.
And that was a nice thing.
Just no more new IP with the word cast in it.
I know.
Exactly.
Unless you really want to leverage that and be like Earthcast. Like, all right, wait a minute. Everything
You
is
got a bunch
cast.
of copyrights and just do everything cast, like when
Right.
and everything super related. DC gets the license or the copyrights for.
Right.
Yeah.
I own the prefix and the suffix of cast, so there's no any way you can put it hyphenated. It is mine. I own the word.
Yeah.
Welcome to the cast system.
Ooh.
Treat everyone differently.
There
You're in
you
the
go.
low tier of the cast system.
I
Clint
found
looks down on everybody.
the music YouTube channel and I put it in the private chat. It's called Comic Book Music, so everybody needs to check it out.
All right.
I'll
Yeah, we
look it
do.
up here.
So he's got like Cyberfrog and Nora's Saga, and the guy does really good. Zaylen Tales, I think, is his name. I've seen him on Twitter.
Okay, in the chat. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
So
He
this
did,
is just
he did
his
Long Harbor as well, Rob says.
Yeah. Here's the link in the YouTube. I put it in the chat for the video as well. So
comic book music.
Yeah, check this out, Clint. So you're like, oh, Sweetcast. I got stuck with Hack Shack Studios. It was just kind of a gag name, and it just stuck. So for 35 years, everything Hack Shack Publishing or Hack Shack Studios, and hack is a derogatory term.
That is true. Yeah.
It's like Comicsgate. I just ended up owning it.
Yeah. That's true, man. That's what you got to do sometimes.
I can't wait to see my Bad Robot IP, logo on some, movie at some point. It just says Hack Shack Studios.
Hack Shack Studios.
Yeah. Did you come up with that name? That was during the Image days? Is that when?
This was pre-Image days, so this is fax machine days where you try to kind of go, oh, I'm bigger and badder, so I need a studio name. So I had some other artists that were working with me in the studio. So we're just like, what are we going to call it? So it's just like Hack Shack, so it just stuck. So I came up with this lame logo, and I faxed out to, I think, Will Spertaccio. And so he got it. And then the next time I get a fax back from Wills, it said Homage Studios. So before it was Wildstorm Studios, which is the Jim Lee Will Spertaccio Studios, it was Homage.
Yeah.
And so I remember Jim you really shouldn't call your studio Hack Shack because the hack is a derogatory term for somebody who does bad work.
It's hard to get the highest rates when you call yourselves hacks.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's funny, right? It's ironic because I don't hack things out. He's like, whatever, dude.
That's so funny.
That's
So
the
you want
30
name's going to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
he
want
went
30
totally-
pages in 2 days, you go to Hack Studios.
Yeah, he went totally, pretentious with Homage Studios.
Homage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I don't know, it's just endless, I guess. It's funny, so I used to always do bands and stuff in high school, and you'd spend forever figuring out the right band name, and no one could ever agree, and we'd always cycle through band names and stuff. And then as an adult, I felt the same way when I've started a few different businesses, and at first I felt the same way, and I was like, nope, I'm picking a name and committing to it, and there it is, it's done. And the time that it stuck, it's like, okay, probably should have put a little bit more thought into that.
What was the name?
Well, Sweetcast.
That was the name of the band?
No, not the band. That would be
Oh,
weird. There were a few different band names. I was in a band called Alandria. That was the last band I was in. I was in The Ascent. That was probably the one that we were nobodies whatsoever, but that was the one I spent the most time in. And like we were on Park City TV, so there's some videos and stuff on online with us playing. That was fun, but before that, I don't even remember. They were just trash, like with the Flying Monkeys and just terrible band names.
What did you do? Guitar? I mean, you got a guitar behind you, but
Yeah, I did guitar and I sang.
oh, interesting. So you'll be cutting in some of that in future videos.
I don't know, man.
Why are you having other people make your theme song for you? Then you hack.
It wasn't my idea.
Wait, Hack Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea. Someone asked me that the other day too. Wait, if you play the guitar, why you ask? I didn't ask, but it's fun to have.
But Clint, I played in bands too, and it's amazing how passionate that everybody is with the name. Like for some reason, it's a do or die, right? You had these conversations like,
oh yeah,
oh, what about this name? No, man, that sucks. We got to think about the chick appeal, so we have to come up with a name that'll bring the chicks in, and all this other stuff. It's like, no, we want a good party name, It's like, and then oh, that sounds too pretentious, or this doesn't sound serious enough, or whatever. And man, it can go on for days. I played in a band that just about every other day we changed our name.
Yeah.
All right, let's do band names. I just have, I think, a good band name I came up with. Art and Clint, you guys would be the judge. Eric, I don't know if you've been in a band.
Yeah. I have.
So when you said chick appeal, I was like, all right, you got to have the word rebel in it. How about Dead Rebels?
That's pretty good. It sounds like a punk band. Yeah.
Sounds like it.
We got 4 guys. We got the Dead Rebels. We're gonna put it together.
Yeah. I could play in a punk band. That'd be easy.
Punk. Yeah.
The Sweet Dead Rebel Hacks.
I don't know if you want the hack part in there. You gotta separate from that, Art.
Yeah, but I said sweet, so we get all our name in, and we'll throw post in there too.
There you go.
Whether
I like that. Clint just adds Sweetcast to any of his businesses. Sweetcast restaurant.
Yeah.
you want like one of those jazz fusion bands where you go like the Art, Clint, Eric, Adam experience or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh yeah. Hipster. Okay, so we have to have different. So Dead Rebels, that's a good punk band. What if we're a prog rock band, progressive rock? What's our band name?
Go with our initials. Like ELP or something like that,
ELP. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So CAEA. That there's a lot of vowels going on.
There's a lot of vowels. Yeah.
Just be honestly, we call ourselves the Semetis.
The Semetis.
Everybody will like us. We'll sell out to the Alterna crowd.
The Sweet Semetis.
Sweet Samedi.
Sweet
That would be a number 1 chart-topping single.
That would be the single, yes, Eric.
Well, and then Eric's got the forecast or the weather cast.
There's a whole lot you can do with weather.
Yeah.
Wasn't there was a jazz fusion band called like Weather Report or something, right?
We could just call ourselves Weather Underground.
I was going to bring them up. Speaking of anarchists, Eric, what's the deal? Huh? Now you've got to answer for them.
That's true.
Bill Ayers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At first, I thought that would be a cool name for my company or my YouTube channel. Then I realized, no, probably not.
Yeah.
Too much baggage.
What do you guys think about the importance of making sequels to our Comics Gate titles? I actually did a video on that a little while ago. I didn't publish it yet. I think it's really important to do sequels.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot. For me personally, it's hard to build the full, at least from a writing perspective. It's hard for me to really develop a story when you've got, in my case, it was 52 pages. It's like it's a one shot, but to me, it's like I want to develop the IP at least more than that. So for me, it's like it's a
you have a world, and you have characters in that world, and there's all sorts of things going on. So there's a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah.
But also just from a business model standpoint, you have people that you got interested in Downcast, and they are interested in you and your platform, but they're really interested in seeing, well, what happens next in Downcast as well. So even though like you have a lot of ideas, I have a lot of ideas, Eric and Art have, of course we have lots of ideas, but each one of these brands, I think we need that fan service of you put the book out, you do a great job on it, you build interest in it, and then you come out and you want to do another one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little easier for us as writers to or like I do, I kind of co-write or I just hire a writer. It's easier for me to say because I just hire another creative team and kind of collaborate with the creative team. But I think it's really important that we do that we just kind of keep the properties coming out and having those additional issues. And I think it's great to be able to offer paid work to our freelancers because, like Clint, you worked with Nacho on the art.
Yeah,
he did a great job. He's done because you shipped the book. So it's like you do have this feeling, I'm sure, that you're like, I want to give this guy more work.
Yeah, and we had a nice rhythm going,
Yeah,
and so
that's not easy either. That's hard too.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
Art,
yeah.
you work with a lot of creative people.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you just click and like the work is really good and there's a whole learning curve to the communication part, right?
Yeah, and if you click, man, you stay with that person because it's very, very rare that you have chemistry with somebody.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. So, Ari, I'm guessing you've probably a good guess here. You've probably worked on a title longer than anybody else here.
For sure.
How long can you do a title for, like, from an art standpoint before you want to do something different?
I worked on Ultimate Spider-Man for 3 years.
Oh, I got you beat. I worked on Flying Fortress for 10, so you got nothing on me, Art.
Every month, Eric?
No. No. One a year, basically.
Yeah, I'm talking about every month.
Yeah, I know.
They had us double shipping, so Ultimate Spider-Man ended up going from 12 issues a year to 18 issues.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's intense. What's it like doing? That's such a huge change of pace from indie comics to be working at that speed.
Well, at the same time, I was working on Ultimate X-Men as well. So there was 2.5 books I was doing a month. And you just get very good at having tunnel vision. You just put your head down and you don't look up. You just kind of if you're not putting lines down, then you're doing something wrong. So you constantly have to force yourself to keep throwing lines down, keep throwing the lines down. And that's how you get through it.
Wow. How long were your work days?
12, 15 hours,
Wow.
Usually 6-7 days a week. But when my daughter was born, I was able, and I just wanted it so bad, to force myself to 5 days a week. So, and also I promised myself I would be home for dinner. So I wanted her to, to be, because I also had a studio away from the house. So I would work kind of a 9 to, I don't know, it was probably like 6 or 7, come home, eat dinner, and then work until I couldn't work any longer. You know what I mean? So it probably averaged out to about 12, 15-hour days. And then I take the weekends off and spend it with the family.
Wow.
And now I don't do that anymore with Comicsgate.
Yeah,
I work all the time.
It's a really, really nice change of pace. Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, what is like for me, it's like the goal is not to go work for Marvel. That's for sure. Like to me, it's like it's over here. It's doing indie comics. And I'd only want to do more than one book a year. That's for sure. But I don't know. It's like more like developing the indie niche that works. Like you can work enough that you're getting your book out and it feels creatively fulfilling, but you're not slaving for somebody else's IP.
Yeah, well, a lot of the problem, well, not problem, but a lot of things with doing our own IPs is you're building the book, you're creating the book, and that's the fun aspect. But you don't know if the support's going to be there either, the financial support. You don't know what the books are going to sell. So when you work for Marvel DC, it doesn't matter. You're working for a page rate, so you're not really worried about the bottom line. And so what we do is more bottom line oriented. You know what I mean? If the book doesn't sell, then we really can't do the next book, and so go on.
Do you plan to do another black and white? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we wrote it as a two-part, volume 1, volume 2. So volume 2 is in the writing process right now, and Chrono Mechanics is a one and done. So I think based on the reality of doing these things for ourselves and trying to create these IPs, I'm going to do one and dones in the future. So like Adam said, I am going to revisit these IPs, but they're going to be more done as one and dones. So no one, because I can't really put out a book the following month. So if
Right.
it's a cliffhanger type story, it's asking people a lot to wait 6 months before I can put out the next book or whatever it is. So I'm going to try to focus on more one and dones, kind of graphic novel format, 48 pages, 60-page type stories.
Yeah. That's something I've been struggling with. It's like, how can I either speed up the pace, or you got to make it a nice, like, satisfying bit of story, that ends nicely. You know what I mean? So that people enjoy it. And so it's definitely a struggle. I'm sure, like, because a lot of us are working on this kind of problem, and so it'll be interesting to see where a lot of creators land on it.
Yeah, I think time and desire to put out more product and to be more kind of on schedule, I believe is going to happen. This first year was a trial for all of us. It's like the first year of Image Comics. If you look at everybody's output, the first year of Image Comics, it's really, really sad.
Yeah.
With the exception of Todd McFarlane. Nobody really put out any kind of monthly product. And you'd think like, well, why couldn't they? They were doing it before. But just like with Comicsgate and what we're doing, we're wearing so many hats.
Yeah.
It really does get time consuming with even stuff like what we're doing now, or packing boxes like what Eric and you just did, Clint. Those things take time.
Right. And that's it's having a good creative team together, and you're finding a way to share the workload. I don't know, it works well for me, I guess, because I'm a writer, and so I have more time to do the marketing stuff, and the YouTube has been a really great engine to make it work. And so that's good, but I don't know, it still just feels like the machine is not quite
because the reason why I would say, Clint, is just if you're going to do Downcast 2, and so I think you just started a sign up list for Downcast 2, right?
Yeah, it's coming. I'm
Very
committed
cool.
to it. Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to discipline yourself to work. Let's say Nacho's going to be your artist. If you want to use Nacho again, you've decided. That actually creates a good constraint for you, because you're like, all right, well, is he drawing it yet? Let's assume he's not. So why isn't he? Well, probably because the script's not done. So if you set your publishing pace at what Nacho can do, then you can structure your deadline to be like, all right, well, I know I want Nacho on my team. He's a given. So I've got to get the script done so I can get it edited, and then give it to Nacho to work on. And then you come up with your schedule, which you did a great job with Nacho, and getting him working on whatever it's going to be, a 3 or 4 month turnaround time, or whatever you guys agree to.
Yeah.
And now you've got a structure, and that's you and Nacho. Now, in terms of your other projects, that's you and what other creative team you start. But if we consider each like one of our brands, you've got Downcast, I have College of the Dead, Art has Chrono Mechanics and Black and White, and obviously Flying Fortress with Eric, and Eric's going to be working on a new title, the Oz title, Operation Zephyr. But in any event, like, we keep these things coming out. We keep our creative teams fed and paid with work, and we let our fans know that, there's another one coming. And it's kind of like, I almost see it as like an obligation to the creative community. If we have people who they did good work for us, so we kind of owe it to them almost to try to give them more work, if it's possible. And then fans bought the book and they want more from you, and let's satisfy them and get the next book out to them for that. So it's really about like building those relationships with fans and with the creative teams that help us put these books out. And you're not going to go after Nacho and say, listen, man, I know 3 months is what you can do, but I need you to do this in a month and a half because I'm trying to get super rich. It's like, no, just get them working at a good pace. Right. And now you have a structure.
Yeah. And that's definitely what we're working toward, but it's, I don't know. Yeah. It's something I've been thinking about is like, I've got to float this idea with Nacho. But so he's got a brother who's also a comic artist who's great, and they have a really similar style because they've had the same teacher and they, a lot of the same influences. There are some difference, and they actually have worked on a book together where they're one's doing one issue, one's doing the other. And I'm kind of like, we could
Don't do that. There's no need. I mean,
this.
the thing is there's no need to, though, because it's not that Nacho is slow.
No. Yeah.
So what would be I'm just saying, like, you want to ask harsh questions, because especially in business and in scheduling and in planning, if you're going to do something, you don't do it because you can do it. It's got to solve a real problem, and it can't just be a rank opportunity. It's got to be like, well, I need to get into a groove with my creative team so I can put out 2 of these a year that are excellent.
Yeah.
So if that and really, you don't want to be doing 1 Downcast a year if you could be doing, let's say, probably 2, realistically speaking. You know what I mean? So I mean, and then quarterly, eventually, if things went smoothly and people really want them, why not? But but you're not moving from twice annually to quarterly right now. You're moving from the first one to the second one, and then maybe you will do a third one, but it's almost unlikely unless you plan for it in 2020. So your next one, you're not racing to get Nacho to make to beat a deadline, unless you kind of are, but it doesn't sound like it. The other thing too is you don't want to split the money up between too many different guys, because then there's less money to Nacho.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Yeah, it would definitely wouldn't be. I'm just saying down the road, like, oh, I wonder if that kind of thing would work. But yeah, for Downcast, the second part of Downcast is just Nacho, and he's already started on it. So.
Nacho mucho. So then the next time, if you're looking at it and you're like, I want to take this thing from quarterly, from twice annually to quarterly, that would be a way to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's almost like hiring, when you have someone and you hire their friend, or someone refers someone to you. If things don't work out with that person who is referred, it can ruin the primary relationship. Have you ever seen that, Art?
It's a good point.
No, because most of everything goes through, like an editor and stuff like that. So I'm usually shielded, from that type of thing.
So you haven't run into. Well, suffice it to say, if you don't have an editor and you're dealing with somebody who's, an independent creator, and then their amateur referral, who's maybe more professional, but maybe not as professional, sometimes things don't work out. You've got to replace somebody, and it can screw up multiple relationships.
Well, and for now, it's just we're doing Downcast 2. It's we're wrapping up the story, but it's like there's still the world and the characters, and there's a lot more story that could happen. But it really, my goal right now is just, we'll see how people receive it. It adds more to the story. I committed on doing it, and
awesome.
We'll see how it goes. But
just as an idea, you're a prose writer as well. Have you thought about maybe adding like 4 or 6 pages of prose to it?
Yeah, so that is actually what I'm doing for Downcast 2. I'm trying to decide if I want to call it the classified history of Strata or the secret history of Strata. I was going to have it be a separate book, and it's prose, but it's illustrated. So it's still,
cool.
It'll be fun, I think. But the goal is I'm just putting it in the same book. So you'll have.
Sounds like a good stretch goal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I'm just gonna add it in. It's gonna be part of it. So yeah, it'll be the book will be thicker.
Nice.
I'm looking at 96 pages, I believe.
Whoa.
Total. Yeah, so that'll be the same size story, 52 story pages, and then I'm gonna do 32 pages of prose. And trust me when I say it's a lot easier to fill pages with prose than it is. There will be illustrations too, but I'm gonna have a whole bunch of different artists contributing to that. So I'm not really worried about the time frame as far as that goes.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so
like an illustrated book. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it'll be nice. It'll just add to the lore a little bit and some of the history, and it'll be fun. It'll also just make the book a little bit thicker and just give people more bang for their buck, essentially.
So then each I guess section would be drawn possibly by a different creative team of the prose section.
So what I'm
drawn by the same person.
There'll be different creators. The way that it's going to work is it's basically just splash pages, it for the most part, it's not going to be like panel to panel storytelling.
With floating
Uh,
text, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be like what I want it to look like is you're opening up a document, like a file folder with all of this classified documents and information. So even in the graphic design, I want it to be like look like you're looking through these old pages, and then there'll be old pictures. So like for instance, one of the artists that I got on board, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. He works with Tug all the time. Why am I forgetting his name?
Peter.
Gilmore.
Peter Gilmore. Thank you. Sorry. Peter Gilmore, because I thought, oh, Peter, you know what I need is a really old looking sketch that looks like it's from the 1800s, you know, when they were digging up mummies and stuff, and the explorers would do these sketches, you know, pen and ink sketches. And I thought his style really lends itself to that kind of style. So I got him on. He's going to be doing like some of the early history, you know, 2 drawings for that. And then you know, I'm still working on getting it all sorted out. But yeah, so it'll be different periods of time, and so the illustration will reflect that and be different styles. So
That's really
You'll
cool.
use one graphic designer for that, though, right?
that's the plan. I need to put a lot more focus into that, but right now I've just been so much into the initial story.
Well, I think it's really exciting that you're going to add that. So you're going to do it as splash pages or spot illustrations surrounded by text.
It'll be like splash pages because I mean, we could do a little bit of both, but for the most part, I really want it to look like it's almost like loose pages, you know.
Oh yeah, inside a folder.
Exactly.
Got it.
That kind of feel.
My 2 cents on that would be, I love the idea. It sounds like a very cool idea and very cool. I love Peter Gilmore's work too. Really try to use one graphic designer who has a passionate vision for it. Because my God, especially with different artists and the fact that this is kind of a lot of different bits and pieces of things.
Yeah.
You want to have one uniform element.
Right. You got to tie it together.
Yeah, just one uniform element, and someone who is passionate about it, who's got a vision for it, is going to just be great to collaborate with.
Yeah.
Well, I will just say this: I did the pre-press for Downcast, and this would be in that same wheelhouse. And I actually did something slightly similar around 2015.
Wow.
We were spinning our wheels with Flying Fortress, and we were like, should we? Because we're trying to get eyeballs on it, right? So we were like, oh, let's put it out as a webcomic, but not just a regular webcomic. When we went through the first, we stopped after 4 just because of the monumental task with 200 pages of this stuff. But we made it look as though it was this old beat up comic that was from the 40s. We went through and redid the colors so that they were CMYK dots, and every one page would be where the red was shifted over a little bit.
Yeah,
we did
all
that stuff.
like the old printing.
I have
It's register.
Yeah. I have a bunch of old paper because my dad drew when he was in middle school and high school, and he had this old sketchbook with this old faded paper. So I scanned that in, and I put that as I overlaid the art on that so it looked like it was on this old.
It was drawn on that paper. Oh, that's cool.
Paper. And then we grunged up all of the covers, and a lot of the prints that we sold at cons were these vintage looking grunged up posters as well. And you'll see some of that in the book. If you back the book, those prints that we sold are in the back of the book. Yeah. But definitely that's something that
I need to
look.
Yeah, I need to put that's I'm finished with the script, and me and Nacho just been going back and forth on some of the details. But yeah, I really need to, especially when I have a little bit of time off for Christmas. I'm going to be focusing on it a little bit more. And what I want to do is really write it out so I know I have like what time periods I'm going through. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited about it because it's kind of the way I'm picturing it is it'd be like a comic like documentary almost. Like what would a documentary look like if it's in comic book format? It would almost kind of like that, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
is there a unified voice that's going to go through it as well? So is it from a certain point of view?
Yeah. So what it is there's going to be a character. So there will be a narrative that kind of goes through it. There's going to be a character that essentially is assembling this history because he works in this this library. He's got the information, and so I don't know how much I want to give away, but he's trying to collect it all for posterity's sake, and for maybe some dubious reasons. And so he's going to be sort of the narrator throughout, but to support his claims and things, he's going to be adding in these documents, from the actual, history of Strata and how things were put together.
Is he cataloging these documents like, Joe Schmo was the architect on this building and these are his notes, and then Jane Doe was the lady that did this thing and these are her documents for that?
Exactly. So it'll be like,
okay.
It'll be like, hey, we got to start from the beginning. This is where the orb came from, and it was a meteorite. They'll give you away. This is the shot that Peter Gilmore is working on, but it was a meteor, or they assume it was a meteor. It landed in the jungle. And so what I wanted is them excavating, this meteorite, and it's glowing, like the orb from the book. And so this is how it initially got discovered. And then you kind of go through, this orb has kind of passed through different hands. And then somebody, came up with the idea of the floating city, and it just goes through the whole history of it. And
That's great.
I'm so excited to do it because I feel like it's such a unique kind of thing to add to the book. I'm really looking forward to it.
And I think it'll work. Like Adam was kind of trying to figure out how the narration and how it all connect. And I think if you do have one point of view, one narrator, that will help as well. With all the different art styles and things like that, that's going to be in there. I can't wait. That sounds interesting. It sounds fun.
I'm stoked for it. And I've got Nacho's brother is going to be doing a page for it, and we've got like this scene where they're experimenting on rats, with the orb, and they're trying to figure out what it can do, and he can do some really great horror stuff, creepy stuff. And so like, let's we got to do these rat experiments, from the 70s, and I just so many cool things. So I need to finish. I've got a lot of it in my head, but I need to sit down and write it all out so I know exactly which illustrations I need, and kind of go from there. But I think it'll be fun.
Congratulations.
It sounds great. Is Downcast going to be like just is there going to be another one, or is it going to be ongoing as a storyline?
So the number 2 will end. It'll finish off the story, so there'll be some resolution. But I suspect, because there's going to be this the secret history of Strata in it, that it's going to raise questions about, or like it'll kind of just show like, here's some other possible storylines we could explore, but the main story with the brother and sister, it'll really have some resolution. So I do want to leave it open though, because I'm like, there's so much else that I could do with this world. But at the same time, I don't want to, I do want to end off the story, so it's not like you're forced to just get the next one and the next one, if that makes sense.
As long as characters complete an arc, it's like, as we're children, and then we're teenagers, and then we go through our 20s, and then maybe we get married, and then maybe we have kids. There's a death of an arc every time a big story ends, but we ain't dead yet. We got more stuff to do. We got more stuff to do. So it's like, maybe you don't have both of those characters continue on in 3, but maybe one of them does. So there's a lot. You've got that great editor friend of yours to talk through things like that. So
and that's So again, I just need to sit down and write it out. But
we're all excited for you, Clint. We're all like, wow, Downcast could do this, and Eric's like, I could do that. And Oren's like, it's great because you could do this. It's like, that's how you know you have something. That's how you know you have something really good and fertile. And we all know too that like it's going to be good because you're passionate about it and you're thinking about it. I'm glad I got you on that prose thing. Ha.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
A lot of people suggest it, but it's like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I just like doing comics, but like I'm still doing a comic, but it'll add more to the story. People want, just more of the lore and the history, but doing it a fun comic way, an artist, it's still going to be lots of art, and it'll be
it's a hybrid between like a novel and a comic book, an illustrated, prose novel or something.
A novel.
I was thinking about just a while back, just as far as effort, because to draw a comic book takes so much time. So usually there's six panels, which are 6 individual illustrations that you have to construct just for a single page. And then if it's a normal comic book, 20, 22 pages, that's a lot of drawings. And so if you did something more as almost like a children's book, kind of like, the floating text, and you did an illustration or 2 per page, and then you can do all kinds of interesting layouts and stuff like that, and basically do a hybrid between a novel and a comic book, like kind of like children's books are done.
Yeah.
Well, Frank Miller did a young adult, or I don't know if it finally came out. He did a young adult, spot illustrated graphic novelish kind of thing, but basically it's prose with spot illustrations of King Arthur retold as a 13-year-old girl or something like that.
Didn't he do a Daredevil something like that too? That was a hardback, like magazine size, I think, that he did with Lynn Varley. That was kind of comic book but prosy at the same time. So I think it's all the above, right? We can do anything. You
can do whatever you want as long as people know what they're buying. But but that format would suit certain characters. It would suit. That might not be a bad in between thing as well. If people are waiting on, like, if it's going to be another year, for example, before you could release another, whatever the heck the title is going to be. Like, well, we've got this background thing or something like that. But as long as people know what it is.
Well, like Joe Linsner's told me once, he said the key to indie publishing is always have something coming out, no matter what it is. So if you can only put X amount of comic book property out a year, then put a calendar out as well, or a statue, or something, just so there's always product coming out. And then the old, what is it, the Terry, the Strangers in Paradise guy, what is Terry Moore? Yep. He had like a scenario, like if you have 2,000 fans that will buy anything you do, you can sustain an indie existence.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't always have to be the same 2,000 people, but if you have 2,000 people that will buy the action figure, that'll buy the comic, that'll buy the prints, that will buy the whatever, then you can actually cultivate and have a living, make a living in existence in the indie world. So I always think of that. I'm not quite to 2,000 people yet, but I'm damn close.
Yeah, I remember hearing that before. I've heard it as 1,000 true fans is what it's called.
Is it 1,000? Well, in that case, I'm in.
Yeah,
it depends on how much money.
Hey, it depends on what you're selling, what your costs are, your ability to sell backlist and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're living in California here, then you're talking about 5,000 fans.
Yeah.
But it's important to work your numbers and really know your numbers, but to also to really have whatever business you're in, even if it's a lemonade stand, you want a business model. You want to know what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. You want to leverage whatever your situation is and who you are. Clint's a prose writer, so that it makes sense for Clint to include prose writing in his work.
Exactly. It's a great combination. And Adam, I don't know about other places in the country, but here in California, if you're going to open a lemonade stand, you have to have a permit.
And then Greta will shut you down saying, "How dare you?
How dare you?
Those lemons never asked for this.
Did you cut those lemons with a dull knife?
You just squoze them.
I should be in school right now."
Yeah.
Hey, I want to thank everybody in the chat. I just got another backer, so thank you.
Fantastic.
Somebody in the chat backed the book, so thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got to check on that again. I'm going to post the link again. Do check out Chrono Mechanics and back it. You're running out of time, so get in there. I want to answer this question from GPez. GPez says, "What do you enjoy more, writing novels or comics?" I enjoy writing comics more, but they are a heck of a lot more expensive to make. So don't get to do as much with comics. As I've done with prose.
But the next one will be more successful. You'll have a bigger budget, and everyone will keep doing better and better.
Yeah, that's the cool thing is, like, with the Downcast one, I didn't make a ton of money. It was, it was under 5,000, and I just learned it's going to be a little bit less. I had a few more unexpected expenses, but it's like with that money, it's like, okay, now I've got more to put into Downcast 2 before we launch, so we can get more of the book done, and I'll have a little bit more to show off. So yeah, let's look at Chrono Mechanics real quick.
Well, that's the key too. Like if I had way more like deeper pockets or investors,
Yeah.
I would be doing IPs every other month. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's a matter of paying people to work on these projects. That's why you almost have to fund them in advance,
Yeah.
so you can pay people. Yeah.
And getting to that point, man, if you can do a project and like a Cyberfrog or something like that, then it's like, okay, you've got capital. I know there's taxes and stuff, but you have capital that you can get ahead of some things. But yeah, I'm nowhere close to that yet.
First, in business, first you break even. Just make sure you're always breaking even. Control your costs. Keep your promises. Don't try to be a big shot about anything. Just keep your promises. Break even. Then you start to get a little ahead, and then you start to get a little bit more ahead, and that's your working capital.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts that way, but really look at your numbers and really look at your schedule, because it makes a huge difference. Let's say the next Downcast also makes $5,000, although it'll probably make, at least twice that net, because you know your numbers, you know how to approach it,
net.
you know how to promote, you have a bigger platform than you had before, and multiple et cetera. Maybe you do a second printing. You'll consider if you're ever going to do a second printing of Downcast. But you'll make some more money. You'll have more experience. You'll have other opportunities that come to you, and you're monetizing your YouTube channel now, even if it's just a sweet, little dollars here and there.
Yeah.
But it starts to come together, and then it makes a huge difference if you wind up with a schedule where you're producing 2 in a year or 3 or 4 in a year, especially because with these books, you don't know if one book is going to be a 6-figure book or a $10,000 book or a $25,000 book, and that is a random success, and luck is a big part of publishing.
Yeah.
Where a book just does like, oh wow, this one did $240,000. I almost have no idea why. Just everybody loves it. The timing was perfect. Magic Johnson got AIDS, unfortunately, in the 90s.
Where's this going, Adam?
Well, and I'll tell you where it's going. We were doing biography comics, personality comics back in the day. It was announced that he had AIDS. Well, we had a Magic Johnson comic that actually had just finished at that time. We made a lot of money on it.
Did you retitle it Magic Johnson has AIDS?
It said he got the AIDS.
He got the AIDS.
Also, you didn't have him sign, put his blood in the ink.
No, he didn't touch it. No,
the Marvel book.
We kept away from him. We kept away from him and his blood. But we had a similar thing with Shaquille O'Neal. We got pre-orders on the Shaquille O'Neal comic, and it was like outrageously high numbers that people were just buying for like speculation. One guy bought like 10,000 copies. But when you're in the game, you're in the game. So as long as you build your relationships, deliver for your customers, keep your creative team fed, the value of your network alone, like think about how much time and energy you had to put in to develop where you're at now. That's investment. That is not taxable, thankfully. But that's got value. You've probably got $25,000 worth of, if not 50 worth of platform investment. So on to Chrono Mechanics. We've got to get Chrono Mechanics numbers up. Time is running short for the time mechanics.
Yes. So we're only 3 away from 21K, and if I can get to 25K, then all the stuff that we're talking about right now I can make work, without sweating or anything like that. And then it will also get me into the next campaign. So 25 is the sweet spot. I know I'm asking a lot for, pretty much 2 days, but I don't know, man, the last 2-3 days, I think we took it from like 14K to where it's at now. So it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm hoping for. And also, if we can get to that 25K, then we get the graphic novel format, the square bound, and we get the 6 extra pages. So, we can definitely put that money back into the book and create a cooler experience for people.
Very cool. Yeah. Get in there and back it. You're running out of time. That's for sure.
Colors by Narwhal. Beautiful colors.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. He's not great.
And hey, can I share a page that I'm working on with you guys? This is no one's seen this yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Look,
is work in
No, we don't want to see it.
This is an exclusive.
Okay, wait. Okay, so hands up. Eric says no. Clint says yes, and Adam,
He always
Definitely.
says no.
You share it, but this is a
Oh.
Sweet Class exclusive, so we have to do the music.
Oh, you have
I've been outvoted.
well, very cool. I'm going to start setting this thing up. So Clint,
Sweetcast exclusive is coming through. Guys, definitely back Chrono
There we
Mechanics.
go.
It's worth it. It's gorgeous work.
That's awesome.
so here's the line art. And this is page, let me see, I don't have it marked here. It's page 39. So out of 48 pages, this will show you how far along we are, at least
Wow.
with the line art. So the book is pretty much, well, we're 10 or so pages away. If we hit that stretch goal, we're further out, but
Just
Yeah.
a few pages.
yeah,
Very cool.
exactly.
It's looking great.
So this is
Oh yeah.
a pretty unique ink style. I've never seen anything like this before. So this style is unique to just this book. So I'm probably never going to use the style for anything else except for this comic here.
You're like a Leonardo da
Cool.
Vinci with all these different styles. Like, how you even do that?
You should see my sketchbooks, Adam. I have a flying machine in there.
I know. I want to see it. Well, you got flying machines.
Backwards and upside down.
You got flying machines in this book, obviously.
Yeah. So
Cool.
these are in here with the giant wrench, and these guys are kind of the shoddy quickie time guys that are doing a horrible retrofit job on the cooling system here. Basically, they're making the situation worse, and that's why time is that's the main problem of why the machine isn't functioning properly. It's these hacks that are working on.
Ah,
Yeah. Look at
nice.
the guy, he's just pounding on a freaking tube with a hammer and a nail.
He's got a nail.
And you see he's got a beer right there. See, this is kind of the adult stuff. It's pretty subtle, but these guys are boozing it up as they're working. And the reason they have band-aids is because it's kind of a metaphor, because you've heard the Band-Aid solution, right? Which is just a temporary fix.
Oh
And
yeah.
That's pretty much what these guys do. They're just the temporary fix. And in this case, they're not really fixing much of anything. They're making it worse.
Oh nice. I love that, man. That's a good page.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm always people tease me. I'm always like, "Oh, look at the smoke, the clouds, and the like that kind of stuff." I always find it interesting because there's so many different ways to do it. So
Yeah.
you got the smoke props from me, so I dig it.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for letting me share this with you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This has been a Sweetcast exclusive page that no one else has seen yet.
Not yet, yeah.
Not
even finished yet. The
Yeah,
sweet exclusive music.
This is
Right, yeah.
digital. You're working digital on this, or traditional, or
This is traditional, but what I do almost exclusively now is I'll come back in and I'll augment things digitally. So I'll redraw or I'll clean up, and it gives me, because I can blow it up like this. I can't do this, when I'm working on the board.
oh wow, yeah.
So I could go in there and I can nuance stuff if I wanted to.
get the 5 o'clock shadow just right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a dangerous proposition. Eric knows, because
Yeah.
you can get lost in the process.
You get so you zoom in so far and you start noodling, and then you zoom out and it disappears because it just,
It's too small.
and you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I wasted 2 hours on that thing."
Exactly. But you just want it to be so good, so you get
yeah.
caught up in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like
Beautiful.
it. Very cool. Well, I posted the link in the chat, everyone, so you can check it out. It's almost 10 here, so I kind of want to wrap up the stream. But
Yeah.
that was a ton of fun. I always like talking comics. Art, you're just really easy to talk to. I really appreciate that.
Oh, no problem, man. I think I found a kindred spirit with you, Clint, and Adam. Totally unexpected. I had already hung out with Eric on some streams previously, but yeah, this is cool, man. I mean, this is one of the fun, unexpected aspects to what we're doing, that we're connecting, and I'm connecting with a lot of unique, creative individuals, which is all it's all I'm about. You know what I mean?
I mean, we're
I'm
really just 4 dead rebels, and we're trying to make it happen. You know what
dead
I mean?
rebel. But
Whatever it takes.
guys can relate to this. Okay, you go to your normie friends parties, right? And they're talking about X, Y, and Z, and you're just kind of like feigning interest. You're like, yeah. What about that?
They talk about stuff like the price of electricity at their house.
I know, like
F you! I don't want to hear about the price of electricity.
exactly. They talk about things that really matter in the world, and I'm like, no, but what about this comic book, or what about
Yeah.
this guy's writing, or whatever it is? And they're like, what? You are a weirdo. So any opportunity to like hang out with like-minded people, especially cool like-minded people like yourselves, is always a plus.
I appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Yeah, it's fun. We'll definitely we'll be streaming again. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Sweetcast style. Sounds good, man.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
So the link, even if you're watching this and you're not live, the link is in the description to this video as well. And we're really running out of time for Chrono Mechanics. So get in there. It's your last chance. You've got, I don't know, like a day left or something like that. So,
And even if you can't back it just this second, go ahead and share the links on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook. It does help. Sharing it really helps. It really does. So just an extra couple of shares, and you get Art to that 25 number he has to get to. Believe it or not, it really helps.
Yes. Thank
absolutely.
you so much. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. I think I'm going to end it off here, and have a great night.
Thanks, Clint. Thanks.